And I will stay on our coverage, of course, on the EFCC now. Let's tell you that the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission has released members of the Bureau de Change that were arrested during a raid that was carried out at Zone 4 Plaza in Abuja. In a normal routine check, the Crime Commission was said to have stormed the Zone 4 Plaza without informing members of the BDC, which resulted into resistance from the Bureau de Change operators. The raid was as a result of the rise in dollars to naira, which has caused economic hardship in the country. And now let's join our correspondent, TVC News correspondent Ademola Lawrence, joining me for more on this. Thank you so much, Ademola Lawrence. Let's continue on this coverage or this conversation. Why did the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission conduct a raid on Bureau de Change operators in Zone 4 area for Abuja, and what is the outcome of this?
Yeah, so there are insinuations, and of course some persons have said that probably the EFCC had gotten an hint of some bad eggs among the Bureau de Change operators. And what does that mean? Meaning that maybe some of the operators who probably will get dollars from people who pile up dollars at home, they call them eventually when the dollar is rising. So those people call them and they give them dollars so that they can be able to sell at their different destination. So eventually, I think that was what happened yesterday, because when the EFCC stormed unannounced to this particular place, Zone 4 in Wuse, there was a resistance from the BDC. Some of them, while talking to the secretary of the association, he said they usually come to them, they give them notice of what they want to do, when they want to come, and while talking to you, he said if they had approached them, they know some of these guys, some of them, some of the operators who are not legitimate, they would have just pointed out. But going into the different offices and picking out the people who are legitimately doing their business probably is not too nice. But eventually they were able to calm the nerves, and everybody was able to be on the same table. But 8 persons were arrested, but of course eventually they were released. They've gone back to the station, to the EFCC custody today to perfect their bail. So it's just one will say first, it was a miscommunication between the two parties, but at the same time, it was an hint that, of course, the EFCC had gotten about some of the Bureau de Change operators who are doing these things illegally. And of course, one of their routine is to make sure that, some of these Bureau de Change don't stay on the street, They don't want anybody staying on the street. They want people to be in their shop. You conduct your business in your shop. They were able to account for the people who are actually doing the business legitimately.
Okay. There are concerns about the practice of dollarization of the economy and its impact on the value of the naira and the overall performance of the Nigerian economy. Currently, we're seeing the UK is declining into a recession. Are there alternative methods really available to limit the influence of the US dollar or Nigeria's economy? Because it will seem that every Nigerian now needs dollar, whether they want to shore up their investment in dollar or perhaps travel.
The moment the naira was floated against the dollar, and of course at the parallel market, and of course at the CBN rate, it's almost insignificant. Maybe if you are saying maybe at 1,005 at the parallel, I'm just using an example. Maybe at parallel market, maybe at 1,005. Maybe at the CBN market, maybe should be like 1,490. Maybe 10 naira difference. So there's that parallel, there's that floating that has always made it equal at the same time. But talking about alternatives, speaking to some persons, they've said that if one of the things that can happen is that people will store dollars in their house for no reason. Some persons go to these Bureau de Change people, they buy dollars and they store in their house. And eventually when the dollar starts going up, they bring out the dollar and of course they start selling. So if government can be able to identify, that means there must be a mechanism to identify between the people who are selling this dollar and people who are getting it. So there must be a mechanism of how to arrest them and how to get them punished. Another thing, why talking to people, is that you've said if the president can just make a pronouncement that for every transaction that is going to be made in this country is going to be by naira. Because you think about it, Nigeria spends naira, not dollar. Nigeria spends naira, not dollar. So it's also a political will that should be on the table of the government. Yes, the government is trying as much as possible to make things a bit more good, but there needs to be more push between that to make sure that the parallel market does not overtake what the Nigerian economy should be like. So that's on one part. And another part that people have also said that is the fact that if the Nigerian people that send money from abroad, now the CBN said if you send money from abroad, that means that your money that is getting to your account will not be by dollar, it's going to be in naira. But some persons still cut costs, come to the bureau of exchange, and and the process from that does not get into the account. That means that there's not inflow of that money into the account. So there needs to be, that lacuna needs to be closed up. If not, we'll still continue to have this this naira dollar challenge in the economy.
Just before I let you go, Debola, if you look at the effort of the federal government, yes, of course, in some way, measures are paying off where we have a lot of values, volume of transactions and all of that. But people have spoken about the need to diversify, the economy beyond reliance on the US dollar, perhaps to be able to address the issues squarely. So the question is, how can these actions, in the long term, support the growth of indigenous industry and promote self-reliance? Because, like you said, yes, we don't spend dollars, we spend naira, but yet, of course, the effect of the dollar is still being felt on the local currency. So let's talk about, concerns about the need to even diversify the economy from over-reliance on US dollars.
I think the first step we need to start doing, even as Nigerians, is that we need to start patronizing homemade goods. I think that's the first point to start from. For every Nigerian, we need to start patronizing, because the more you patronize homemade goods, that means that the money stays in your country. It doesn't go outside, so the money stays in your country. So by that, it gives the naira shot up. The naira gets up, the naira rise. It goes at par and with any other country, any other currency that wants to shut up with it. So I think that homegrown product need to be really sink into the people's hair. They need to know that Nigerians need to start patronizing our own made product. By that, we will get to the level of naira will continue to rise, and it will be at same par with any other currency around the world.
EFCC News correspondent Ademola Lawrence live for us there in Abuja.